What's up, everybody? It's a lovely Saturday evening here in the shop, and I guess we're going to do another episode of What Did We Have to Fix Today? And this one's kind of a unique one that we ended up having to fix rather than either make a new one or go through and modify this or just straight up find a replacement. Um, this is off I believe it was a Hitachi small mini excavator, and the story from the customer was they were fixing something, they bolted this back in place and didn't tighten it down all the way or something, and then all of a sudden it was broken. So I don't know exactly what happened. You know how honest customers are sometimes with how they broke things, and this is kind of an odd break, as the location of the break is pretty stout, and it's not something that sees a lot of pressure. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. um, Anyways, they basically asked me, hey, can you, machine me a new one since you're a machine shop? And I had actually met this customer on Facebook Marketplace. He was selling some LS2 heads off of his C6. And so I went out there and, started talking to him, and he said, hey, I got this hydraulic manifold, and I thought it was a simple manifold that we probably be able to machine. And I said, yeah, sure, bring it by. And lo and behold, this is the disaster that we were left with. So uh, we were originally, like I said, trying to figure out if we could find a replacement. And I even put a post on one of the Facebook groups that I'm on for hydraulic cylinders and pumps and things like that. And we had a couple people reply and said, oh, yeah, that's a Husco 5000 series, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, I'll find their catalog and look through it. So I found their catalog and looked through it, and it was turned out to be a Husco 5002B135, which was the replacement part number from them. All the dimensions matched. Everything seemed to be okay, but the spool valve itself was a modified version, so the whole shaft was different, and there was I believe, a 14 to 16 week lead time and about $1,000 price on getting this, just to have it in my hands. Uh, Not even if it was the right one or the wrong one, we wouldn't even really know. And then trying to figure out, okay, is the spool, the spool slider going to be correct for the application? Is everything going to transfer over? Is it going to be right? So I said, I talked to the customer. He said, well, for that price and that lead time, why don't we just try to band-aid this together? Because I think I'm either gonna sell this thing if we can fix it enough to where it works, or I'm gonna scrap it if we can't. So, uh, this was kind of a spend $1,000 on a guess, or spend $300 or $400 on a guess, with me trying to fix it. So, um, and I didn't take a lot of videos doing this. I need to find a tripod and a GoPro or something. Seems like every time I try to take a video with my phone, I'll get a phone call or get a text message or a Facebook message, and it stops recording. So it makes it really hard to do this. Plus, it's only done with one hand, so I have to hold the phone. So it makes everything take forever. So I'm working on that, but I'll throw some pictures up kind of here in series, and you know, if whoever wants to watch this watches it, great. If this is too boring for you, well, I'll do better on the next one. Um, so yeah, here's a picture of how it showed up, and then we disassembled it, and you can see the lower portion is busted, and it basically just fell right off. There was really nothing holding it together. Um, we've done plenty of cast iron repairs before, with silicon bronze and high nickel rod and things like that, and I figured, well, let's dovetail it, or at least put a key in the casting. That way, we're not relying solely on the welds for retaining this piece in there. So we pocketed this whole thing out and made a little plug. Now there are some internal passages that are cast into the bottom piece that broke off, so we had to uh, put a little groove and some passageways into the block that we added to the bottom. But we pressed that in with the arbor press. It went in pretty easy. The material was exactly the same thickness, inch and a half, as uh, the main part, which was kind of nice, because once we welded it, surfaced it, and put it on the surface grinder and recut the groove in. Everything ended up being nice and flat. Um, so we put this on, we actually put it in our powder coat oven to get it nice and hot, and then I put it on the torch for another few minutes to get it real hot, probably up to about 650, 700 degrees. Put it all together, welded it up with like 170 amps on the TIG with some silicon bronze, and wrapped it in a fiberglass blanket, and about 12 hours later it was still warm, so it definitely cooled down nice and slow, and we couldn't see any visible cracks or anything, so it looks like everything should hold up and be in good shape. So the spool bore did warp or did move a little bit, so we just had to go in and rehone the bore for the spool, which wasn't a big deal. And yeah, we put it in the mill and surfaced off all of our welds. The interesting part about welding, normally if we do a cast iron repair and we're using silicon bronze, the carbon in the iron won't react with the silicon bronze to harden it. But if you're welding a piece of steel to a piece of cast iron with silicon bronze, all of that carbon gets pulled out of the iron, goes straight into the steel, and makes a very, very, very hard surface to try to machine through. So we had to use a 3/4 inch carbide end mill just to rough everything off before we hit it with a face mill. Otherwise, we were going to chip all the face mill teeth. And then again, we put it in the surface grinder to make it nice and flat and get everything dialed in at the very end. So um, one of the other things I should notice or say is, we tried to go on eBay to try to find one of these, and there's a missing port on here. And I guess because this is a standalone section, it's only like a single unit that's put between the end pieces, and there's no what they call power beyond, so it's not made to stack with a whole bunch of them. So I wasn't sure again if that was going to cause an issue, and I didn't want to order one for $300 or $400 and then have it be wrong and take more time. So you can see in this picture or these two pictures here, the valve that we have, is missing this port, and the one on eBay with the arrows actually has an extra port. So and I wasn't sure with how the end caps were set up, if that was going to cause an issue. So anyway, so we got it all machined. We dialed in the center point for that groove and the depth, so it just uses a regular 1/8 inch O-ring, which is kind of nice, and recut the groove in the CNC. Then we put it in the surface grinder, made sure everything was flat, all the depths were fine, everything was parallel. We cleaned it all out, we threw it in the hot tank, and then we threw it in the ultrasonic to make sure there was no grit or debris or sand. We sandblasted this before we started to make sure that there was no other cracks or anything that we were going to miss. Plus it gives us a nice surface to weld to. So we did all that. I honed out the bore for the spool, made sure the spool moved all nice and clean, and then did a final check on all the fitment of everything, made sure all the holes lined up for the mounting, etc., etc., and then gave it one last trip through the hot tank, cleaned it up, gave it a coat of paint, and yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now, waiting for the paint to dry, hopefully tomorrow, and we can get this thing fully assembled and back to the customer, and hopefully they won't have to scrap their little mini excavator. And yeah, if you guys have any recommendations, tricks, tips, comments, hate mail, jokes, anecdotes, stories, whatever, throw them in the comments. This is not the typical thing that we run into as far as a repair or a fix, but hey, it's always a new adventure here every day. And yeah, I got tons of video to edit. We got another project that we just finished for a dual drive chain for a turbo 425 transmission, so I'll be working on that as well. And with that, I will catch all you guys later, and I'm going to get back to work.